Why does your cat slam their head into your leg, your hand, your face while you're sleeping, like they're trying to headbutt you into submission? Most owners think it's just love. It's not just that. There's something a lot more deliberate happening here, and once you understand it, you'll start noticing it in moments you never even clocked before. Here's what most people get backwards. You assume the headbutt is just a spontaneous burst of love, like a hug. But cats don't waste behavior. Every motion is at least a little calculated. When your cat headbutts you, they're not just feeling something. They're choosing to mark you in that exact moment as safe. It's called bunting, and it's one of the most deliberate bonding behaviors a cat has. And there's one specific thing that makes bunting different from almost every other affectionate behavior your cat shows you. Something we'll come back to by the end, because it changes what it means when they stop doing it. So what's actually happening physically? Cats have scent glands concentrated around their cheeks, forehead, and paws. When they press their head into you, they're depositing pheromones, chemical signals invisible to you but unmistakable to them. In multi-cat households, cats bunt each other, furniture, doorways, anything in their territory they consider theirs. When your cat bunts you specifically, they're not just being sweet, they're folding you into that shared scent. Feline behavior expert Dr. Mikel Delgado, a certified applied animal behaviorist and senior research scientist at Purdue University, has explained that this rubbing behavior helps create what she calls a shared group scent among cats and the people they live closely with. It's not just marking territory, it's identity, the same thing they do with the other cats or objects they consider truly theirs. Here's something most owners never think to ask. Why the head and face specifically, and not somewhere else? Turns out the pheromones on a cat's face aren't the same as the ones they use to mark territory, like when they scratch furniture or spray. The facial ones are different. They're tied to comfort and familiarity, not defense. Basically, it's their "everything's fine here" signal. Nothing more complicated than that. So, when your cat presses their face against you, they're not being careful or testing the waters. They're using the one signal they save specifically for things that feel genuinely safe to them. And hey, if this is already making you think differently about what your cat's been doing to you every morning, hit like and subscribe. It helps this reach more people who actually want to understand what their cat's been trying to say all along. Now here's something worth admitting. You've probably nudged your cat's head away mid-bunt more times than you remember. Not out of annoyance, just reflex. Maybe you were typing or holding a hot cup of coffee, or their head caught you a little too hard right in the glasses. Maybe you just didn't want cat hair on your face 5 minutes before a meeting. None of that makes you a bad owner. But here's the part that changes things. Your cat doesn't know any of those reasons. They only register the outcome. They offered their one "everything's fine here" signal, and it got redirected. Do it occasionally, and it means nothing. Do it consistently, without ever realizing what the gesture actually was, and you start quietly teaching your cat that the signal isn't landing the way they meant it to. The speed and force behind it matter too. A gentle, slow bunt against your hand is a calm, low-stakes greeting. A hard, fast headbutt, the kind that almost knocks you off balance, is often a much bigger emotional moment for them. Relief that you're home, excitement, sometimes even a kind of urgent reassurance seeking after being alone too long. The intensity isn't random. It's proportional to what they're actually feeling in that moment. And notice who's actually on the receiving end of this. Is it just you? Maybe one or two people in the house? Cats are selective about this. Unlike a dog, who might greet a stranger with the same enthusiasm as their owner, a cat's bunt is reserved. It's not a universal greeting. It's a specific, chosen signal, and if you're getting it regularly, that's not nothing. That's a short list, and you're on it. Which brings us back to that one thing I mentioned at the start, the thing that makes bunting different from a lot of other affectionate behavior. Because it's a deliberate choice, not just an instinctive reflex. A change in it means something. If a cat who used to headbutt you constantly suddenly stops, it's rarely random. Sometimes it's physical. Pain around the head or jaw can make a cat avoid pressing that area against anything. Sometimes it's emotional, a stressful change in the house, a new pet, a conflict they haven't recovered from. And sometimes, if you've been consistently redirecting them without realizing what the gesture meant, they've simply stopped offering something that isn't being received. Your cat didn't get in the habit of pressing their face against you by accident. They decided, over and over, that this was the one signal worth using with you. So the next time they slam their head into your hand at 6 in the morning, that's not just a want. That's a small act of trust, repeated on purpose because of you. Picture the next time it happens. Early morning, you're barely awake, eyes still closed, and there's a soft thud against your cheek, a pause, then another. You'll probably do what you've always done. Laugh, maybe grumble, nudge them over so you can get 5 more minutes of sleep. But somewhere in that half-asleep moment, your cat made a choice you didn't even register. Out of every person they could have chosen not to bother, every morning they could have just curled up somewhere quiet instead. They came to you. Your cat didn't get in the habit of pressing their face against you by accident. They decided, over and over, that this was the one signal worth using, and you were the one worth using it on.